This video deals with scrapping aluminum in long lengths. Sometimes you don't have what you need to transport it, like a good half-ton, three-quarter-ton, or even a station wagon. And sometimes you have a luxury car. That one's not so luxury because it's in the midst of getting its motor redone. But if you have something like that, or even just something small like a Chevy Cavalier or a Pontiac Sunfire, and you can't take a whole lot with you because it's too long, this is video how you can shorten it up. Now what I'm showing here is various tools you can use. You've got the hacksaw. Believe it or not, that's a dollar store hacksaw with a good hacksaw blade. The frame holds up. It's kind of not expected to last forever, but it does the job as long as you have a good blade. Then we have the bolt cutters. Nice, but not always effective. Sometimes the teeth don't meet, or the jaws don't meet fully, so you'll actually have a little bit of metal still hanging together that you gotta wiggle till it breaks off. Then we're starting to get a bit more expensive. The angle grinder. It's got a thin blade on it, but the problem with cutting aluminum with a grinder blade is that it tends to melt into the blade, all the little bits you're grinding out. So your blade will essentially become aluminum coated. Not very effective. Then we've got the reciprocating saw with a hacksaw blade on it. It's great for cutting, but unfortunately if you're not really good with the cutting, it'll tend to buckle the blade, and if you go too fast the blade heats up and it dulls very quick. Now we've got the skill saw. The skill saw can be used if you've got a good steady hand, as long as it's got carbide teeth. Now the one problem with using that is unless you've got a very good steady hand, the teeth will chunk out. And since I don't have a steady hand, that blade's been chunking out. So, well, the nice thing about the skill saw is you can usually pick them up used for about 20 bucks, and you get a good blade, like a decent quality blade with good carbide teeth, and that'll help you to cut through the aluminum. Now, if you're lucky like I was, I managed to pick up this cut-off saw, shall we say. It's meant for wood, but it'll do the job for aluminum. Now, this one also has blade with carbide teeth. I picked this saw up at, essentially the dump where they recycle. I picked it up for $2. The reason why it was so cheap is because the locking mechanism was busted. So somebody threw it out. It's useless to them without the locking mechanism because they can't do good straight cuts. Now if you've got a small car and you can fit a couple of these keepers in it, those are perfect for putting aluminum in. But how do you put that in there? Well, that's where any of those tools will help you. But what I'm going to show you is using the miter saw to cut that to length. Now, a lot of people don't know that as long as the blade's got carbide tips, it will hold up quite well. Now, the one thing you do have to be careful of when you're using that is that as the carbide's cutting through it, it will throw chunks of aluminum, small debris. And what you have to be careful of is safety glasses so that it doesn't get in your eyes because it flies pretty quick. And a little bit of protective clothing isn't such a bad idea because it tends to want to penetrate your skin. So what I'm going to ask you to do is turn down your sound while I do the cutting. So I'm going to cut now. And that is how you make aluminum fit into a small container using power tools. You could also cut sheet aluminum using this method if you were fabricating something like, say, a trailer or a boat, as long as you could use the skill saw and have a guide to do your cutting with. It's an inexpensive method, and it's got good results. So if you're just getting into scrapping, you don't have to go ultra expensive with a plasma cutter or anything like that. A few basic tools, and it'll work out.